What's up everyone, hope you guys are all having a great day today. I'm kinda worried right now because I think one of my friends had the COVID vaccine seep into his brain because he's been acting a little out of it lately. But sadly, that's not the most retarded thing we're going to be seeing in this video today. No, today we're going to have to suffer through watching Synthetic Man's content. Now, the videos we're going to be watching today are a little old, about like 3 months old at this point, but they're really fucking shit. So the first video we're going to be watching came out around the time The Ancient Gods Part 2 came out, which is basically Synthetic Man complaining about how Doom Eternal is so hard to the point where he's not having fun anymore when he's playing on the hardest difficulty while trying to find objective criticisms for the game and falling flat on his face while doing so. Okay, so enough bitching, just play the fucking video.
Alright, just hold your horses. Wait a second. Do not hit that dislike button yet. Just hear me out. I don't hate Doom Eternal at all. In fact, I think it's a great game. I do have quite a few issues with it, and I definitely don't like it as much as the cult of pseudo speedrunners that play it.
Yes, because if you think Doom Eternal is fun and like to replay the game to get better at it for whatever reason that may be, you're just a wannabe speedrunner and are wasting your time. Already off to a great start here by insulting people that disagree with you.
But be honest with yourself, would you have even clicked on this video if it had a normal title? No, because you have no idea who I am, you would have just scrolled past and ignored me. So cut me a break. Alright, let's just get straight into this because this is just DLC, it's not a fucking full review. I will briefly give my thoughts on Ancient Gods Part 1, because I also played it right before I played Part 2. If you're just here to hear my thoughts on Ancient Gods Part 2, skip to this timestamp.
Yeah, he says briefly, but then proceeds to spend half of the video talking about Tag 1. This video is fucking 20 minutes long too, which is why from here on I'm speeding up the video a little.
So basically, I didn't like Ancient Gods Part 1 very much. Honestly, I thought it pretty much brought out all of the worst aspects of Doom Eternal and cranked it even slightly further.
Well, I have no clue why the fuck you bought it then. It was literally advertised to be Doom Eternal but harder. I also have no clue why you think it's the worst parts of the game but cranked up to 11. I mean, again, it's just the base game of Doom Eternal but harder. That's like going into Hotline Miami 2 and complaining that it's just the base combat of Hotline Miami 1 but harder. I mean, no fucking shit. It literally says, but harder because it's DLC in the fucking menus when you select your difficulty you choose to play on. But, you see, not making sense is a common trend you're gonna see in this video.
And honestly, you know what it felt like? It felt like one of those challenge map DLCs for like Batman Arkham Asylum or something, where it was basically just all arenas.
Yes, arena shooter bad because it has too many arenas. Jesus fucking Christ. And it's not all arenas, it has the platforming sections too. And that's exactly how the main game was. It has the secrets from the base game. Sure, not as many, but again, it was marketed as the base game of Doom Eternal but harder and having more demons, so no fucking shit. But keep this arenas and platforming argument in mind because it's gonna come up later.
It took the already abysmal level design from the main game and basically made it literally just platforming and arenas.
That's what the main game's level design was, retard. Did you play the main game? I'm genuinely asking you that. The only fair argument he could be implying right now is that the DLC has less secrets to find than the base game, which is fair, but who the fuck is buying Doom for the secrets, especially a Doom DLC that's marketed as the base game but harder and with more demons? That's like buying the game for the story, but just wait, we'll get into that shit.
And that's the entire thing, mostly arenas in fact. There's only like a handful of small secret areas, and none of them are progression-based. The only upgrades you get are from the Slayer gates.
Probably because the DLC starts out after the game is done, and you basically have everything.
So basically it's just extra lives and more stupid, terrible, goofy-ass cringe lore. And because only 2 new enemy types were added, and one of—
Stop the cap! Stop the cap right now! Stop the cap!
No, there are not 2 enemies added to the game. There is 6, 7 if you count the invisible whiplashes, which technically they do classify as a different enemy. This is just how fucking disingenuous this guy is, and he wonders why people make fun of him in the comments because he's literally spreading misinformation. And again, it's a fucking DLC. They're not gonna fucking double the enemy roster for a DLC. This guy has no fucking clue how to temper his expectations.
them is not even a real enemy type. It just makes every other enemy in the game faster and more powerful, and also ignore half of the mechanics in the game.
The spirit is a new enemy, because you have to fucking kill it, retard.
The Maker Ghosts ignore falters, freezes, they can absorb like more than twice as much damage, and then when you kill them, you have to use the fucking microwave beam, the thing that nobody used, to kill them. Because again, this is Hugo Martin's like sick joke, that he feels like he has to balance every weapon by making one specific weapon kill one specific enemy for like every gun in the game. Which makes no sense, like that's just forced balance. That doesn't make you actually want to use the guns, you're forced to use the guns.
Yes, it forces you into using the game's mechanics. If you're mad about a game forcing you into using its mechanic, then don't play a fucking game. Jesus Christ, this is what you guys make me do. We've still got like 15 minutes left in this video sped up. Not to mention we still have the other video to watch. Fuck me.
You know? I don't want to use the microwave beam. You move at half speed while you're melting the dude. It's
Again, you're complaining about the game making you use its mechanics. So I looked at your other videos and it seems like you really like Resident Evil 4. That's cool, so do I. You have in the thumbnail, the greatest of all time. I don't feel like watching it because judging by this video, your content is shit. But let's say you do like Resident Evil 4, again, from the thumbnail. What you're doing here is like saying Resident Evil 4 is shit because it makes me shoot enemies to kill them. You hear how fucking retarded that sounds? Just get back on with this bullshit.
so painful. So no matter what any fanboy says, I don't know if Under the Mayo said it, but I'm sure somebody has said that these Maker Ghosts are actually great. Because they force you to play the game differently, because somehow that's inherently a good thing.
What the hell am I expecting from a Doom 2016 fanboy? If you want more of Doom 2016, go play Doom 2016 and quit bitching that Eternal isn't the exact same thing.
Yeah, no, I despise the fucking Maker Ghost. But honestly, the first level, it was a series of Slayer gates, essentially. Every single encounter had like 3 waves of enemies, the same like 15 enemy types you fought a million times. And the only difference really is they just throw more of them. So like, this is a habit in both DLCs actually, where instead of throwing 1 tyrant at you, they'll throw 2. Same with Hell Barons. Instead of 1, there's 2. And there's a lot more of the fucking, I think they're called carcasses, the guys who throw shields in front of you. There's more of them. There's a lot more of the riot shield dudes, which are annoying as fuck. At least you can chainsaw them.
Whoop-de-fucking-do, it's not like that's what the DLC was fucking advertised as. And before, well, oh, what if you pre-ordered it? That's why you don't pre-order shit, dumbass.
Other new enemy type is the Blood Maker, which they're just another dude you have to headshot, but they're way more powerful than the standard ones. They have these AoE spears and shit, and they're invincible unless they're charging up one of their major attacks. The Blood Swamps, I don't know, they were okay, but you had segments that slowed down your movement. There was a lot more platforming, which of course is fucking terrible. Who actually likes the platforming? Why do they keep putting this in?
It gives you a rest between arenas, because let's face it, if they didn't put in their platforming and just had a bunch of halls between arenas, you'd be complaining that it's just arenas and halls. Hell, you try to do that anyways.
I guess it's to have the illusion of the game not being a series of squares connected by hallways, because I guess if the hallways are platforming, I don't know, it's slightly more entertaining. Not really. And yeah, I don't know, it was just kind of absurdly difficult on Nightmare in certain areas.
Then lower the fucking difficulty, dumbass. This is what he complains about a lot in this video, that the DLC is too hard to the point where he's not having fun when he has it set on the highest difficulty. But no, this dude's a stubborn fuck and needs the approval of others, which will be shown in the next video we play. But his sense of self-pride is so fucking stubborn that he'll force himself to finish the game on the hardest difficulty, even when he's not having fun with it. Like, dude, it's a fucking game. It's supposed to be fun. You shouldn't play games for other people, you should play them for yourself. If you don't think a game is fun, then don't play it. It's that fucking simple. Like, for example, I find Dark Souls to be annoying as shit. It literally gives me a feeling of being fucked with a chainsaw. But am I going to call all the people who like playing Dark Souls tryhards and pseudo speedrunners? No, because that's fucking retarded.
It's just annoying. If you even fucked up one time, if you stood still for 1 second, you died. It's just not fun. I don't know, the people who really enjoy playing these games on Nightmare to see how good they can beat the game, and like, again, it's like pseudo speedrunning, because none of these people are even in the top 10 of like an any percent speedrun or 100% speedrun. They're literally just people playing it for the sake of playing it.
Yeah, because it's a game. That's kind of what you do with a game, play it for the sake of playing it. That's one of the most retarded arguments I've heard about this game so far. Oh, all of the people who replay it are just insane and play it for the sake of playing it. Why replay anything at that point? Why even play anything?
And I have no idea why the hell you would do that for a single player game when nobody cares how good you are at a single player game. But whatever.
Are you that much of a sheep that you need other people to care about you being good at a game to validate you playing it? Jesus Christ, that's genuinely fucking sad.
And really, I guess the only other thing is, like, the plot is really stupid.
I'm skipping this part because it's just him bitching about the story, and to be honest, he does bring up some pretty fair points about how the story is really cheesy, but who the fuck is buying Doom for the story? Genuinely, if you go into a Doom game expecting a really well-written story, you're just fucking retarded. That's like going into a Smash Bros. Game expecting a good story.
And so eventually you fight your way to heaven. The Slayer Gate here is insane, by the way, the Holt Slayer Gate. Apparently it was buffed. Originally it was the easiest part of the DLC, which is kind of funny. But they buffed it to easily be the hardest. It took me easily 20 tries to beat this. It's ridiculous. They throw a fucking possessed marauder at you on top of a bunch of other enemies. And like I said before, the possessed enemies are like 30% faster and hit, I think, almost twice as hard or some shit.
Uh-huh. And that's why it's optional.
So, a super fast marauder in a tiny arena, because the Slayer Gate arena for the DLC is just way too fucking small. That pisses me off. Because they know that 80% of the difficulty in Doom Eternal is literally just the arena design. Because every enemy, you're basically supposed to fight a specific way. No matter what people say about, oh, playstyles. No, that's just using mechanics in a slightly different way. There are weapons that do high damage, there are weapons that do low damage. And some demons have specific weaknesses. That's about as far as the flexibility goes. You're still running around in a circle while shooting. That's the entire game. And goddamn, I was tired by the time I finally fucking beat it. It's fucking exhausting. And so anyway, you get all the way to the end of the DLC. You have to kill some more, aka, Samuel Hayden. And you resurrect the Dark Lord with his life sphere, because Doom Guy wants to kill Satan once and for all, I guess. And what's the big twist? Satan is literally Doom Guy with red eyes. Are you fucking kidding me? God, this is such a joke. I know it's not meant to be taken seriously, but maybe I want to take it seriously. Have you ever thought about that?
Oh my fucking god. Again, if you go into a Doom game expecting a well-written story, you're fucking retarded. You are playing the wrong damn game. Even back to the comparison with Resident Evil 4. Have you fucking played that game? The story is complete dog shit. Why does the US send Leon alone to an unknown location? Why do the cultists bring Ashley to a really poorly guarded church when they have an entire fucking fortress armed way better? How does the merchant just get around literally everywhere in the game? Does that make RE4 a bad game? No, because like Doom, you don't take the story for a Resident Evil game seriously. But what if I want to take it seriously? Fucking brainlit.
And so at the end of the day, I think it was just quantity over quality. Like, they needed more development time. The levels, they look cool, of course, but the level design is horrible, so what does it really matter? It's just eye candy.
It is the same level design as Eternals in 2016's, it's just 2016 and Eternals had more secrets.
And you're just fighting the same enemies that you fought, with some slight tweaks. The Maker Ghosts being, like, super fucking annoying. So yeah, end of the day, I guess I would give it, like, a 6. Like, Ancient Gods Part 1 is just okay. It's absolutely just made for, like, the try-hard audience. I mean, I suppose if you played on normal, it's probably fine. If you haven't really gotten the hang of Doom Eternal systems, because, again, you were playing on kind of a pussy-ass difficulty, then they'll probably kick your ass. But even for people who are used to Nightmare, this is definitely a slight step up in difficulty. And it's so tiresome. It just throws way too many enemies at you. It feels like a shitty level I would have made in, like, I don't know, Infamous 2's level creator. 5
Yes, it throws too many enemies at you. Doom has too much gameplay, everyone.
of you might know what I'm talking about. So as for Ancient Gods Part 2, which is what you're really here for, is it better than Part 1? Yes. It is definitely better than Part 1.
Well, no, there are literal objective facts that make Tag 2 worse than Tag 1, with the main point being the level design you keep complaining about. In Tag 2, all of the arenas feel exactly the same, none are really that memorable. None of the levels in Tag 2 loop around like how some of Tag 1's did.
And why is it better? Well, a few reasons. The first and most important reason being there's a lot more enemy variety.
Nope, the enemies added were the same amount as Tag 1's.
Now, I will admit this seems pretty lazy, because all the new enemies, except for one, which is barely even a new enemy, I'll get to that last, all of them are just reskins. Like, there's a Stone Imp, the Screecher, which is just a reskin of, like, a normal zombie, the new Riot Shield guys, which are giant fucking pain in the ass, they just have a gold shield and, like, wear a helmet. You know, stuff like that, they're just reskins. But they do add some kind of cool variety to the gameplay. I enjoy them, anyway. So, honestly, the most fun one is the Stone Imp, because they're basically the bone wheel skeletons from Dark Souls. Anybody who's played those games knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, they roll into balls of fire straight towards you, and you gotta dodge out of the way. And they're only weak to the hammer and the full auto mod for the shotgun. You're probably not gonna waste your hammer, so I guess, again, it's just Hugo Martin wanting to fucking make every weapon mod useful. Which
Waste your hammer, it's like 2 glory kills, what the fuck are you talking about?
nobody asked for or wanted, but the dick suckers are probably like, wow, genius. Truly amazing. The new riot shield, guys, the shield is completely invulnerable from the front. So you've got to use grenades or the remote rocket to take them out, which is actually fairly balanced because they don't charge after you like the normal variants. They just kind of hold position in a corner, which, yeah, I like that. I actually think that's pretty damn good design. The Screechers are really fucking annoying, though. If you kill them, they buff all the enemies around them. So, you know, the twist with them is you're not supposed to shoot them. You're supposed to kill them last after you've killed everyone else. And it's
No, you don't kill the Screechers. They die automatically once everything's dead.
It's the same buff as being possessed by a spirit, I think. They're definitely faster, and I don't know, they might do more damage. Wasn't paying that much attention. As for, like, the level spread and length, it's a bit shorter than Part 1. Part 1 was, like, 5 hours, maybe 7 hours if you're playing on Nightmare. Or at least it took me 7 hours to 100% everything. This DLC is more like 4 hours. And the difficulty has been lowered a bit. I think they listened to criticism of Part 1.
No, they listen to the bitching.
In that it just kind of spammed way too many enemies at you in 2 small arenas. Because there was only one part of this DLC that I got stuck on for a while, which was these escalation nests, or whatever, which is basically the replacement for Slayer Gates.
Which, once again, is why they are optional.
Where you do the first part of them to progress, but the optional second wave gives you, like, a cosmetic if you beat it, right? And the second one of these escalation gates was way fucking harder than the other 2. Like, I think it was basically just the arena. The arena was too fucking small. There wasn't any maneuverability, so you got all these enemies beating the absolute shit out of you. And, like, even in this arena, like a Marauder, which I have no problem fighting the Marauder now, like, at all, but because they throw other enemies, like, flanking you and chasing you down, like, there's a Doom Hunter in this wave, along with possibly some leftover invisible pinkies, you don't really have time to just stop and deal with him. Hard to say how much of this is really my fault, but I feel like in both of these DLCs, I was killed from enemies spawning behind me much more than the main game. I don't know what it is. I couldn't explain it. All I know is it's very, very just fucked to have an enemy spawn behind you and you die in like 1 second because it's like a goddamn Armored Baron or Doom Hunter or whatever, literally just beating the shit out of you and you can't do anything about it. I'll even say that the level design has actually improved a bit in Part 2 as well, as there are more varied encounters where the environment actually matters.
What the fuck? Varied encounters where the environment matters. Are you trying to say that Tag 1 didn't have that? The fuck? Oh, Tag 1s were too hard. Never mind.
Like, for example, there's this fountain that the little green doggo creates this field around, right? And then it's filled with, like, the swamp purple sludge shit that you can't dash or run through. And you gotta fight a bunch of enemies in that.
And there were encounters like that in the Blood Swamps level, retard.
And also there's, like, some weird, like, kind of goofy encounter design. Similarly, the first time you go into one of those doggo fields and you get out of it, there's like 10 pinkies that like rush you instantly that are buffed. And it's kind of stuff like that that just kind of keeps it interesting. There's also a couple parts where they throw like 50 imps at you, and it's just awesome to like use like a remote detonated rocket to just like blow the shit out of all of them. And the environments are in top form in this one, especially the final level. You've seen it if you've seen the trailer. It's basically the Avengers. A bunch of portals open up and all the Sentinels come through with the giant mechs and stuff, and they're fighting demons in the background of the last level throughout the entire level. You can see them. And it's very cool, actually. Very, very cool. And even the platforming is slightly more interesting, as they now add meat hook grapple points, which honestly you would think would be a no-brainer for the main game, but yeah, I guess they finally figured we could use this meat hook for grappling. And they even put it in a couple of the arenas.
Yeah, he is right. The platforming is more interesting in Tag 2 than 1's, but they barely use the meat hook grapple points, which is dumb as fuck because those things are fucking awesome. I know they use them a bit in the first level, and the second I can only remember like one time when they used them, and I don't think they used them at all in the third level if I remember correctly.
And, you know, I won't really spoil the story for like the 5 people who care about the story, but obviously it ends with a showdown with the Dark Lord, and I mean, you can pretty much guess what happens. There is one more twist, I won't say, but it's stupid. You can better believe it's fucking stupid. One sour note at the end is the final boss fight, which is really not very good at all. I've noticed this team struggles quite a bit with boss fights. I'd say almost none of the boss fights in this game are good. main game or DLC. And the Dark Lord is no exception. He's basically a giant marauder. And I wouldn't say he was bad enough to ruin the experience or anything, but it would have been better to end it on a high note, obviously. And so I guess to wrap this up, I actually liked this one. I thought it was pretty fucking good. It's hard to say if the 2 DLCs are worth the price of $30. That seems steep to me for what you get here. Because you're essentially just getting more of Doom Eternal.
No fucking way. A DLC is just more of the base game? Holy shit, no way, I can't fucking believe that. Thank you for enlightening me on the anti-consumer business practices of the gaming industry, Synthetic Man.
A little bit more difficult, and a few new enemy types, and it's a few hours long. I mean, if you're like the average person who plays this on normal or maybe hard, you're gonna blow through these together in about 6 hours, 6 or 7. So, is that worth $30 to you? Maybe, possibly. If you really enjoy the game, you've probably already bought these DLCs, and you're probably satisfied with your purchase. But yeah, I'd say go ahead. If you like Doom Eternal, fuck it, just get them. Hey guys, thanks for watching. That Ancient Gods Part 2 announcement really, took me off guard. I wasn't planning on talking about Doom Eternal again so soon, but, I have to try to be timely and get in the algorithm, of course. Thank you to all my patrons. Every bit counts. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I might be taking a sort of short break, at least until the Binding of Isaac DLC comes out, because, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just feel like playing games for fun for a few days. Constantly making content kind of drains you eventually. But yeah, I am excited for that. I am still slightly interested in Outriders enough to, I'm definitely going to make a full review on it. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. I don't really have much else to say, not many other updates. I respond to comments if you have any questions, you know how it is. So, see you next time, guys.
God damn, that was shit. Not the worst review of this game, but not great. I'd put it on the same level as maybe Skillup's review of it, but the suffering isn't over yet. So obviously, people made fun of him in the comments for fair reason. He complained about the difficulty keeping the game from being fun for him, but played it on the hardest difficulty. He said objectively false things about the DLC, like how there were only 3 new enemies added to the game when there were like 7. And like I said before, this guy has an ego the size of a black person's dick, so he took all those people making fun of him to heart and made a second video a few days later titled A Response to Doom Eternal Fanboys. Basically, this entire video is either him cherry picking the most retarded arguments people make against his Doom review, or once again, him getting things objectively wrong. So I'm gonna cut out a lot of this shit just so I don't waste your time, and just put in his most retarded points.
So yeah, the first type of comment is obviously people complaining that I'm not good enough at the game to play Nightmare or something. Which
It's not that you aren't good enough to play on Nightmare. You clearly are based on the fact that you beat the game on Nightmare. If I really wanted to, I'd go ahead and play the game on Nightmare, but I don't feel like it because it's so hard to the point where I'm not going to be having fun when I play it, which is obviously what's been happening with you from your review. So what you do is you take the thumb out of your ass and lower the fucking difficulty. Have some fucking humility. Obviously, the people saying you're not good enough to be playing on Nightmare are fucking retarded. I don't think there's any debating that. But what I think most people are trying to say is if the game is too hard to the point where you're not having any fun, lower the fucking difficulty or drop it altogether.
I mean, if I beat the main game and the DLCs on Nightmare, doesn't that inherently mean I'm good enough? But whatever, I guess I was supposed to beat it all in a few tries. Like, the people who put like several hundred hours into this game. Do you even understand how easy it is to criticize somebody else's footage? It's quintessential backseat gaming. People have done it since Let's Plays have existed on this website. If you posted your footage, I guarantee everyone could find something to complain about in the way that you played the game.
No shit. Again, the people bitching about your gameplay being bad are retarded. You're clearly decent at the game at least. The difference between people like you and people like Upper Echelon is that Upper Echelon is literally ignoring the tutorials and trying to kill the Marauder with the fucking rocket launcher. Honestly, this might be a hot take, but I don't really think he's bad at the game.
Because unless you're literally a speedrunner, you're going to be making mistakes. And I purposely highlighted certain points where I had made mistakes to show how easily you can die with just one mistake. And it being on the highest difficulty is not an excuse.
What? The fuck? Do you have any idea how the difficulty system works in this game? So, the higher the difficulty, the more damage you take and the faster the enemies are, making you have less of a chance to recover from your mistakes. I mean, take Hotline Miami for example. If the game were like that and just didn't let you make mistakes period and had no difficulty options, that could be pretty fair depending on how the game was marketed as. But honestly, Doom Eternal lets you make mistakes, even on Nightmare. Sure, it's not as many as the I'm too young to die mode, but if you don't like the fact that the game lets you make almost no mistakes, lower the fuck fucking difficulty.
Which reminds me, if you didn't beat it on Nightmare, I don't care about your opinion on this issue, because some of you people who wrote comments or upvoted other comments telling me I'm bad haven't even beaten it on Nightmare yourself, so that really invalidates what you have to say.
Again, it's not that you're bad, it's that you're not having fun with the insane difficulty of Nightmare mode when there's other fucking options. Jesus Christ, I have to repeat myself like 100 different times.
But you have to understand, and this is to go back to my point about pseudo speedrunning and playing a game for no reason, that there is no way to prove to anybody how good you are at Doom Eternal, because Doom Eternal is essentially a single-player fighting game. The whole game is just spent fighting bots, and nobody cares how good you are at fighting bots.
This guy's retarded arguments aren't even worth me repeating myself anymore, so I'm just copying and pasting my response to his previous argument on the same thing, because he's literally saying the exact same thing he did in the last video. Are you that much of a sheep that you need other people to care about you being good at a game to validate you playing it? Jesus Christ, that's genuinely fucking sad.
But since you're such an insular, echo chamber type of community, you attack anybody that criticizes your favorite game.
No, we just laugh at the people who have no clue how to criticize a game.
But you don't represent the majority. And you don't have to look any further than the fact that this game hasn't won any Game of the Year awards except by maybe some no-name publication. It didn't even get the Gamer's Choice Game of the Year award at the Game Awards. It was beaten out by Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. And those are on one platform. So clearly people didn't like Doom Eternal that much if they didn't bother to show up to vote for their favorite game.
Is he really trying to say that nobody cares about Doom because in an awards ceremony heavily judged by games journalists, people who are literally infamous for being shit at the game, didn't give it a Game of the Year award? Which, by the way, they gave fucking Overwatch a Game of the Year award one year. And then he brings up the Player's Choice Award, which, if you weren't on the internet during that time, there was a fucking all-out campaign where pretty much everyone who didn't like Last of Us 2 voted for Ghost of Tsushima to keep that game from winning. You know what? No, fuck this, I'm not suffering through the rest of the retardation that is this video. If you want to see a better response to this video, go watch a British Potatoes video, which I'll have linked in the description. Just to give you a heads up, the rest of the video is just him pulling shit out of his ass. But anyways, fuck you all for making me do this shit, and I'm gonna go shoot myself. Bye.